Hi, this is Alex Mahoney with Coda Financial Coaching. And today we're going to be continuing our series on Monarch Money and how to use it. And we're going to be focusing on two features in particular, the accounts feature and the investments feature. And the reason I'm taking these together is because together you get a really good view of your wealth picture, right? One of the things I don't like about the other apps is they do a decent job at budgeting, but they don't do a great job of showing you how that budgeting links into your overall net wealth picture. And one of the primary objectives, if not, the most important objective, in my opinion, of making a budget is to build net wealth, right? It's to pay down that debt and then manage your expenses in a sustainable way and then start building up your net wealth so you can retire and provide a inheritance and a legacy to your children or whoever else that you care about. So without having that overall picture, it's kind of like, what are we doing even budgeting? But having that picture in Monarch Money, at least to me, is very motivating to see your net wealth and how it's moving. And Monarch Money does a really nice job of doing that. So we're going to start out with the accounts tab here. You can see here, it could just as easily be called the net wealth tab because it's really showing you what you have and what you owe. So let's go down, let's just go down this entire tab one at a time. So you have right here in your investments, you have your net wealth performance right here. And I like this because it's really just showing you how your assets minus your liabilities, maybe those for all those accounting nerds out there, that's ringing some bells right there, is moving, i.e. your net wealth, right? And just to break that down for the person that may not know exactly what an asset or a liability is, especially in the context of personal finance or finance in general for that matter. Just to put it simply, an asset is everything you own, particularly in this context, your cash and your investments, whatever account they be in, right? And liabilities is what you owe. So that's your credit card debt, those are your student loans, that's your mortgage, things like that. So this right here is just showing you the difference between how much you have and how much you owe. So right now, we're showing in this dashboard that Savvy McThrift, our great friend Savvy McThrift, is doing a great job budgeting, that he or she, whatever you want to say, has $50,000, almost $50,000 in net worth. So Savvy, if you're a young buck getting off to getting your personal finance journey started, you've done a good job so far. But yeah, that's just showing your assets minus your liabilities right there. Now, let's say we want to see this broken down a little more. We're like, we don't know what is exactly a part of that number. We only see that top line number right here. I love this feature right here. And obviously, it's only got 1 month because I've had this demo account 1 month, right? But this is cool as well. And I kind of like this. This is kind of another motivating feature for me that it shows all of it has the zero baseline number right here, this line right here. And all of your assets, it shows above that line, and it shows the breakdown. It has your cash, which, in this case is the checking account in my emergency fund savings account. And then it has your investments, but then it shows underwater, under this zero line, in this kind of, ugly red right here, it shows your credit card debt. So that's motivating to me, right? Like, hey, I want this number to go away, and I want this number above the zero to keep on increasing. So a really nice feature right there. And as we scroll down, we can start to see the breakdown of what we only saw right here above. Well, actually, let's go here, right here, before we go down to that section. So we can see a graph of our investments and our cash as well, and see how that's moving. We can go here, see our cash, see what's in that Ally emergency fund, and see what's in that checking account right there. And, once again, we can just see how it's moving across time, and we can change these filters to see how it's moving across time. And then our liabilities, right? What we want to defeat right here, we can see. And of course, if we had a mortgage or something, we would see more than just this. But Savvy is, once again, he's a young buck. He's just getting started. So he only has credit card debt. He doesn't quite have a mortgage right here. And you can see how that's moving. And right now, it's a flat line, but hopefully we want to see this going down, right? So very nice features right there. Just easy to follow, easy to see, easy to motivate yourself, seeing how your both your net wealth and the components of your net wealth are moving right there. Okay, scrolling down here, we can see what the breakdown of those accounts is. And of course, we can't see what we're actually invested in here, but we're going to get to that when we get to the investments tab. But really nice feature right here. You can see, okay, what makes up my $35,000 balance right here? Okay, we can see that I have this traditional IRA, or Savvy has this traditional IRA right here. He's already socked away a ton right there. And we have the brokerage account. So Savvy, he wanted to play with some stocks. You got to have some fun in personal finance. So he invested in some stocks right here, in addition to, and that's just kind of seeing what they do. Not, in the scheme of things, not a huge amount of money right here. Generally, I recommend that you put money in more of a VTI or, VTI index type fund. But, it's okay to play around and have a brokerage account with some stocks as well. All right, going down to the cash section. This obviously is really important because we want to make sure that we have this emergency fund right here. So here's our Ally account emergency fund. That's, a good for Savvy. If he were to lose his job, that would be, a good 3-4 months of income or of expenses right here that he would be able to use while he's still looking for that job and not be in a panic about it. And then we have the checking account right here for your day-to-day expenses. And then, of course, we have our credit cards and, the famous pay this off ASAP credit card company right here. Obviously, we want that to go more down to zero, but really nice just to have the graphic up here and then the breakdown of the accounts here. And then, of course, and this is the same information as you're seeing in the graph. You're just seeing it in a summary format over here. All right, so now that you've seen kind of the top line, what is in each accounts, let's go to the investments tab. So this deals, if you remember from our accounts and you saw our investment section right here, this is actually going to break down what's in it right here, right? So really nice right here. We got, we got a breakdown of our holdings within this. And of course, within our investments. And of course, what I recommend generally to my clients, especially when it comes to retirement funds, if it's for more shorter term goals, we can talk about that. But for retirement funds, you really can't beat either the VTI or VOO exchange traded funds. They are just index funds. They put you in a little bit of everything in the market. And you can see right here, you can see the price, how it's done, the quantity that I own, how it's done over a certain time frame, and the overall value right here. And really nice here, you can see how your portfolio is tracking against the market. Now, of course, it makes sense that it's going to pretty much exactly track it, right? Because the VTI is meant to reflect the greater market. So I would be a little concerned if it wasn't exactly tracking the market. But depending on what fund you're in and the level of risk involved in that fund, or I should say not even fund, if you're investing in individual stocks, that number is going to vary as compared to the S&P 500, right? Okay, so really nice features right there. The only thing it doesn't do, and maybe this is something Monarch will bring in at a later point, is break down what is within that total stock market ETF. So it would be nice to drill into this, but within the app. But the good news is that's super easy information to get. And it is something that, I definitely advise my coachees to be aware of, right? They should know, okay, it's nice we know that we have coverage of the whole market and that we're investing in the whole market. But you want to know actually what's under the hood and what you're investing in, right? So really easy to see that here. So what I did is I just Googled VTI right here and got it off Vanguard's own website. So let's just start off at the top right here. You can see like a nice summary, once again, the market price. You can see Monarch Money is updating that nicely. That's coming in real-time information. Right now it's a Sunday, so that price hasn't updated since this past Friday, the 17th. You can see the expense ratio that is, very low. That's generally, what we want to be below that 0.1% mark per year. But let's get into the actual portfolio composition here. You can see here the number of stocks that we have in the fund. So 3,529. Guys, if that's not diversification, I don't know what is. Now, of course, that is all US stocks. So if you want to be diversified more internationally, you might want to consider an international fund. I think 99% of people are going to be just fine being based in the US. It's still the main market to invest in. But, if you want to be invested a little bit more internationally, diversified internationally, especially in Europe, more established stocks there, that's something that that me as a coach, I can talk about with you as well. All right, so let's scroll down here. Let's see actually what's in those stocks. So we can see what sectors are being held. So nice representation here of your different industries. You can see technology, obviously, that's been the dominant force, I would say, in the last 3 decades of the stock market. That probably isn't going to change anytime soon right here. But you also have consumer discretionary and, which is your Walmarts of the world, and then your financials, which are your big banks. So no surprise that we see technology, consumer discretionary, and financials driving, suddenly I can't do math, about 65% of our, close to 70% of the overall holdings, which is pretty normal considering that's what those 3 industries really dominate the US economy, right? So going down here, we can see the individual holdings. And the nice thing about being invested in the total stock market ETF or being invested in VOO, which is a little bit narrower, but still broad in that it reflects the S&P 500, the biggest 500 stocks in the US, is it reflects the dominant players. So if you're worried like, hey, I'm not getting to take advantage of the growth in amazing companies like NVIDIA and AMD and Tesla and Alphabet and Microsoft, well, fear not, because anytime you invest in an index fund, it's going to reflect the overvalue or the overall value of that fund relative to the market. So if NVIDIA is going up, then it's going to make room it's going to reflect, if that's a bigger part of the market, then this fund is going to reflect that NVIDIA is becoming a bigger part of that market. You can see it's huge. It's 6.7%. So every time you buy a share of VTI, 6.7% of that is going to be investing in NVIDIA as well. So you have all of your, biggest, most well-known companies here. And we can go down to the next page and see that we have other really iconic companies here. So I love this, that you get to participate with the best performing companies in the world, and honestly, some of the best performing companies in all of market history. And then, of course, if you really want to get into it, you can go all the way down and see each percentage of each holding. But, it gets very small as you go down the list, which is fine because you do want to be a little bit in everything. But anyway, that is all I wanted to show today. Basically, just, recapping how to show your net wealth picture, what accounts break that down, and then a breakdown of what investments you have, and then being able to have the tools and knowing how to go and look up if you invest in mutual funds or exchange traded funds, what are actually in those funds. But anyway, drop a comment in the video. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day, and I hope you continue on your amazing journey of personal finance.